Yeah, attendance enabled, guys. So attendance is on, guys. You can put it up. Okay, I'm assuming you guys are having a class, right? From 9 to 10. That's why people are getting late. Okay, Shreya. So yeah, I think 210 is good enough. And so the number that you sent me yesterday, uh, I said right. I mean, I need a good bridge between the two parties, and if the bridge is not that deep, then I'll actually decide myself. So Have you seen a clearer picture now? I mean, is it that one option has gone much ahead of the other?
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, the difference was of 30 students. So, if that 13 mark is broad enough for you, then I mean, 90 students opted for live classes, and there were 120 students for the recorded classes.
Yeah. So the 30 is what? 30 upon 210, 1 upon 7, right? So that's less than 20%, of course, right? I mean, I'm not going to do the actual math. So
So, excuse me, sir.
yeah.
So actually, there were a lot of students who were actually confused about how the live classes and the recorded classes will be like taken place. They didn't exactly know.
So didn't we actually have live classes the last week just as a reminder of how the live classes will go on? I mean, the last week was an example actually for live classes. Of course, week zero was there, but week zero, I think, was everything was starting, so maybe it was
So
not
like
clear.
everyone was saying that we'll have classes, we would like to have classes, but we don't want shepherding.
Uh,
That
so
was the whole point.
the I mean, so it's I mean, I cannot curate a new method out of the two methods. I mean, basically these are the two options we have. Um, Without shepherding, I don't see how discussions can go through. That is the idea, you know. Otherwise,
Exactly.
no
Sir,
one. Yeah.
sir, the further topics are already much complicated. I don't think we are enough to explain them.
Um, okay. So that point is about in the favor of live lectures, is it?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yes,
so
sir.
we would like to have live classes for which we can also get the recordings. So
So
that would be like
recording
the further
anyhow.
topic.
See, recording we are going to have anyhow, right? I mean,
Yes, sir.
that is a given. It is going to be there for all, you know, for all the classes, whether they are discussions or live lectures. So recording is something that is constant. So we don't care about the constant on LHS and RHS. We just have to see whether LHS equals RHS or greater than RHS or less than RHS. So uh, I mean, we are back to square one, I guess, right? I mean, from where we started, uh, because we have to decide upon a medium which is preferred for the students. This is the idea, right? And preferred for most of the students because um, we cannot have one opinion in 240 people, right? As you know, I was expecting something like 70% to 30% kind of thing, that 70% people are in one favor and 30% are in another. Otherwise, we'll just maintain the status quo. Okay, status quo means that whatever was going on, if there is a clear view to change something, then we should change. Otherwise, we'll simply stick with status quo. That is what I thought. Um, so basically, we are still at the same place, right? I mean, we have not really made, and this is confusing for me as well because you guys, I thought the last week was a good example of how live lectures will go through. Okay, so now you had an idea that this is live lecture, and this is the recorded plus shepherding mode. So I really don't, it's difficult for me to understand what is the problem. Why didn't the people select the right choice or something like that?
So,
Yeah.
so even if we continue with shepherding, sir, you will have to take far more command. So, sir, a lot of students feel that during shepherding, depending upon the shepherd, it's very confusing. So sometimes they get far more confused by the explanation, and they can't truly understand what the shepherd is trying to say, but they don't want the shepherd to repeat it again and again, so they don't matlab, ask the question
Mhm.
again. So you, even if you continue with Shepherd, you will have to take far more uh, interactive approach, because a lot of the topics are far more complicated and the shepherds can't explain it.
So, one thing that I changed, at least in the, I think, the week just before midsem, was that instead of making the shepherds do something, right, instead of selecting shepherds randomly, I decided that from now on, uh, I will remove the restriction of this repeated thing, right? So basically, because I understand that there are at least a dozen people in the batch who are probably as good as me in the subject as anyone else. So they can probably teach the subject better than me. So I give them the chance to become the shepherds and help out their peers. So one one change that I have already done in the shepherding is that instead of catching people randomly, because then it is possible that you may not have studied, or you may still have doubts about the concepts. So if I make you a shepherd, it will become difficult for you to do the shepherding, and it will not just be harmful for you, it will be harmful for the whole class, because then that particular discussion will not go through well. So from that perspective, I think the changes in the shepherding part should cover up that aspect, right? That from now on, I'm expecting that only those students who are well versed in the concept are going to become the shepherds. This is the overall idea. And of course, right, I mean, as you have said that on a day when, and I already do that actually, that if I see that shepherds are going away from the main topic, or that they are getting confused, I actually unmute myself and I speak. So that is actually a given. So that is why I know the reason I proposed the shepherding one, the shepherding mode, was because I am taking my own efforts offline. Okay. Basically, I record the lectures offline. You get a chance to go through the lectures multiple times offline. And then the 3 hours of time that we get, because we are only going to get 3 hours of time. I can't even force you guys to come for extra classes, because I have seen your timetable. You guys are pretty well packed throughout the week, right? I feel it is inhuman to uh, ask you to come up, maybe even one more hour for a week. Okay, that's kind of inhuman. So I cannot force you guys to sit with me for anything more than um, constant shepherd. So it is kind of constant, right? I mean, so basically, let us say there are 5 people, or 10 people in your batch out of 120, for example, who have done programming before, right? So for them, all these concepts are not new. It's probably they are more up to date with that as compared to me, right? Because I am coming back to C after I don't know, uh, more than 10 years. Okay, it's more than 10 years since I coded in C. So for me, it's right. That is why many a times I tell you something and then I realize, okay, it no longer holds. The newer compilers, that thing has changed. But many of you who've done programming at the 10+2 level, they are much more recent with these concepts, right? Even more recent than me. So if I make them the shepherds, then I can do that, right? I mean, I have no issues. If you want shepherds to be decided one day before, we can do that over email, for example, right? So I can receive emails from you guys where you say, sir, I would like to be the shepherd tomorrow. I have no issues. Hmm. Yeah, so that is the idea, Tejas, that it happens because I am selecting people randomly, right? I mean, uh, till now I had this constraint also, right? That if you've been a shepherd before, I was not selecting you again because I wanted others to speak as well. So the day, the week before midsem, I removed both these constraints. That now, for example, you could be the shepherd all days. Okay, if you know the concept well, you could be the shepherd all days. So so that thing actually should help people out, right? I mean, this is the idea, that if the shepherds are good enough, um, we get these 3 hours of time for discussions only. This is, in my view, a big plus, because then you are told the concept in a 15 to 20-minute video prior to the class, and if you have lots and lots of queries, those lots and lots of queries can be handled in the 1 hour time. I mean, I don't get 1 hour; it's mostly 40 minutes, because we waste about 20 minutes like this every lecture. But yeah, at least 40 minutes of hardcore discussion time we get. So this is the actual reason, why I started with shepherding, because I wanted to use up um, the 3 hours that we get for doubt clearing instead of lecturing. Okay, instead of professing, I wanted this time to be given for doubt clearing. And so again, I mean, maybe Shreya, what you can do is you can open the option to edit the responses. Okay, so those people who have already make it limit to one response, and then give them the option to edit the response. So then if people want to change their responses, they can go and change it, right? It's, so that we get the final picture. So the idea is something like this. These are the two versions. um, the shepherding version that we saw right before the midsem, that is going to be the forward thing. In this week also, it is going to be exactly like that. And the live class that we saw in the previous week, that is the example for live classes. So now, just compare these two. Okay, so basically, uh, let me call it week 6 model versus week 5 model. Which of the two models would you prefer? This is the idea. And if you want to change your responses, Shreya will open up the editing option, so you can go and change it also if you feel. Okay. So now, I just want this thing to be settled once and for all. Okay. Please pick up the right option by this Wednesday, and that, because I'll if it is not live lecture, I start preparing the lectures for the next week on Thursday itself. This week there was some festival yesterday, so I could not upload Wednesday's video, yes, in the night. I will do it right after the lectures are over. Okay, so you will get the Wednesday lecture too today. Um, but usually you should get these lectures on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, the Friday lecture is the one that we'll discuss on Monday. Saturday lecture is the one that we will discuss on Tuesday, and Sunday lecture is the one that we'll discuss on Wednesday. Usually, this is what will happen. So again, let's move forward. We have already wasted 20 minutes. Attendance, I hope people have put it down. 95 responses I've got. So let's start. Again, the thing that we are going to discuss today is lecture 7.1. This is on functions. Now, any volunteers that I want. I know, but who are aware of the concepts, they can be the volunteers. And there is no restriction. You could volunteer again and again. That's the idea. So where are my all-time ready shepherds?
Like, can we make it an open source thing, like anyone can say,
No. So it's
like
it's
just
anyhow
using
not
ID?
like that. I mean, I've never really restricted people from speaking. In fact, others are anyhow encouraged to ask questions. If they want to answer as well, they can certainly answer. No, I have no problems with it. Uh, I thought that maybe not too many people would actually want to answer. Shreya, it's fine, right? I see. I understand that many students simply put the attendance and they don't attend the lectures. But I am not a person who's going to force them, right? Because see, it's up to them. If they feel that they can learn from somewhere else, it is certainly possible, and they are welcome to do that as well, right? If only, I mean, if in fact, I'll be much happier if a set of 30 people from both batches send me an email saying that, sir, please just give us the attendance. We won't attend your lecture at all, and then I can shift you guys on Google Meet. Okay, because then the number of participants will come down from come below 100. So I'll actually be much happier, by the way, that if there are some people who do not want to attend my lectures and they just want the attendance, I can give you the attendance. Okay, just tell me in advance so that I can shift the whole class to Google Meet. Anyhow, yeah, so Dhruv, as I said, everyone is allowed. It's just that sometimes if you allow too many people, it might become a bit difficult for guys to coordinate, because 120 people, even if 30 of them want to speak at the same time, it will become a problem. So that is why shepherds have to be there. If someone else wants to speak, just put it on chat and then you guys can speak. That is a good idea.
Okay, sir.
So Mohit is already a shepherd. Any more shepherds? Okay, let me mark Mohit. Mohit, your roll number, please.
Sir, LIT 31, sir.
31, 31, 31. Okay. Okay. And yeah, any more? Just a minute, I'll mark it. Uh, yeah, where is Yashvardhan today? Okay, maybe he's not present, is it? Acha, it's okay, fine. Rohan and Dhruv and
Okay, sir.
okay, so Rohan, just Rohan, tell me your section and roll number.
Sir, CS 64.
CS 64, 64, 60.
Sir, Tejas is also volunteering.
Acha, just a minute. Okay, got Rohan. And Tejas, your section and roll number. Uh, Tejas, your section and roll number.
IT 25.
IT 25. Okay, and who else is there? Anyone else who would like to be a shepherd? Akshay. Akshay, yours is okay. Your roll number is already there. IT 008. Okay, IT 008. Okay, fine. So let's start, guys. Okay, I'm sharing my screen and I'll keep on adding questions to this. I just, I got late today, so I'll just start with these questions, and I'll keep on adding more questions to it. And if at any point of time you would like me to speak, just say I'll speak. It's okay. So you can start with this.
कोई स्टार्ट कर रहा है?
तुम करो.
So before we start, I want to ask, do everybody know what is a function? Anyone who does not know what is basically a function? Okay, so if everybody knows what is a function, please, and anybody can unmute and tell me what is the definition of a function in terms of programming, not in terms of math. थोड़ा तो इंटरेक्ट करो ना यार.
A process that performs a specific task.
Yes, thank you, Parvesh. Yes, so basically a function is a process. It is not process, it is basically a set of instructions which can be performed by passing a particular parameters or arguments. So it is basically very similar to a function like in math, that you can like function of x or function of y or function of x and y, and then those two are used as variables to perform a particular uh, they're particular used to explain the, not explain, basically perform the what do you call it, algorithm. So
Hmm.
algorithm is basically just you can say it as x square plus y square. That function of x and y is equal to x square plus y square. So they just perform that. So in programming, it can be anything. So it can be character based, array based. You just need to pass the parameters, and it just basically executes that and returns a value, whatever value that may be. So one of the most simplest example of function is the first thing that we use, that is integer main, then bracket open, bracket close. That is a function. That is the necessary function from what I know that you have to put in for your program to work. In that, integer is basically the data type or the return type of that function. So that's why in the end of it, we usually write return 0. We can write just return 1, return 2, return 3, anything, but it needs to be an integer value because the data type we have specified is integer.
Hmm.
And in the parameters, we don't pass anything. So basically that is because we do not know. Basically, we are writing a full code in between that single function, and we do not know what is exactly in every case or in every question we pass something different. So that is why what do you call it, um, we don't specify arguments in main, but there can be a lot of different functions. There are predefined functions also which are part of your library. That is why the math functions that we use, or if some people are doing programming and all, there's sort function, there's that are used in the previous class, that is known as to uppercase, to lowercase. Those are predefined functions. They're part of libraries. So those are already pre-existing. They're part of the, what do you call it, the language. Basically, they're part of the GCC compiler from what I know. We just need to call them from a library so we can use them into the program. But there can be user-defined functions also. So there might be some case that you might be doing like you might be making a program to get simple interest. So simple interest on a particular amount of money, and you might be asked to do the same thing again and again and again and again. So basically, there is no predefined functions for it, but you are like, I want to do this again and again. Why I'm writing the code uh, like multiple times for different values? I will just make one code and I will put the different values whenever I get them. So it might not be necessary that you are getting the same value one after another. You might be getting the values after some period of time. Like you might be getting first name, then the principal amount, then the time, then another thing, then again this thing is repeating. So that you can just create a function, and whenever you need the simple interest, you just make a program for it inside that function and you just call it. So calling it, basically when you're trying to use the function, you just specify the name of the function in the brackets. You type the parameters. Basically, you have to fill in the parameters in the uh, code basically. So I know I'm going a little too fast because I was not getting a lot of responses. So now, if there's any doubts, please ask.
Yeah, any doubts? I think Mohit explained it well, but any doubts? So I guess it's clear now what function is for to everyone.
Sir, I had a doubt that int main is a predefined function, but we write code in the function. Means int main is a predefined function, and we mention it because it marks the beginning of our the code. So, but it is a means, but we write the code inside it. So, what kind of code is already written in it that we define it as a predefined function?
I'm not. I'm still not sure. Is your question that? I mean, is your question that whether main is a predefined function or not? Is this your question?
Yes, sir. It is a predefined function. Means this I know. Means what I know is.
No. That is right. So, I mean, what is your question there? So basically, it's like it is not a predefined; it is a declared function. Okay.
So it is more, sir, I think main is not predefined, it is necessary. It is necessary for the code to run, but it is not predefined. Predefined is something similar to uppercase or to sort or dot length or dot size. All this stuff is predefined. From what I know, main is necessary, but it is not predefined.
So actually, let me jump in. So basically, you have seen that in the when we write code with functions, there are two things that are related to it, right? One is declaration, and one is definition, right? So basically, main is declared but not defined. The definition has to be provided by you. Okay. If you try to run a code, your compiler has realized that you can always write a C file that doesn't have a main. It will compile very well, no issues. Okay. But when you'll try to run, what really is required is the definition for the main function. Okay. And if someone wants to speak something, okay. So if the definition for main function is not found, your code cannot be executed, right? Why? Because there is a declaration. That is why everything went ahead and an executable was probably created. But that executable does not have the definition for your main function, so it cannot be executed. Does it make sense? So this is why I'd say the second lecture for the week, okay, about global and static scopes, you'll see why why at some in certain cases we would declare a function but not define it, because we expect that the definition is going to come from somewhere else. Okay. So it is loosely the same that whenever a C program is compiled, it is expected that the mains definition will be provided. Okay. If you don't provide it, then it cannot be executed.
That's
So it
one
is
doubt.
about, yeah, go ahead.
So, like in declaration, we use a semicolon,
Mhm.
but while defining the main function, we don't use a semicolon. For
Yeah.
what I know is that it is a definition. If we give a definition first, then it is automatically a declaration.
Yes.
So is the main function like that?
Uh, so that point is like this. See, declarations are not required. Okay, that is the first thing you have to understand. Because definitions are kind of a superset of declaration. Okay, whenever you define something, it automatically is getting declared as well. So declarations are not something that you always require. In certain cases, you require declarations when whenever the definition is provided at some other place and the declaration is done at some other place. Okay. So and the idea is, when exactly would something like this happen? The easiest case to tell you is that when you are using someone else's library. Okay. Let us say when we use this math.h, you remember, right? We included math.h in the code to run sqrt. What exactly does math.h includes? It doesn't actually include the code for your sqrt function. Okay. So math.h does not have the definition for sqrt. It only includes a declaration for sqrt. Okay. The actual definition comes when you do that minus lm. Okay. When you are doing gcc and you do minus lm, the definition for sqrt gets included in the part of your as part of your executable when you do minus lm. If you don't do minus lm, your code will not compile because the definition for sqrt method is not found. So the same concept is here, that there is a declaration for main somewhere. Okay, I'm not sure where exactly it happens. Maybe it's in stdio, or maybe it's some other. Stdio would not be there. There will be some place where the mains declaration is there. Okay, and when your executable is being prepared, it expects that the mains definition will come up. If you don't give a definition, then your code cannot execute. That is the idea. Sanskriti has written something. F2. Um, yeah, I'm not. Sanskriti, you can probably unmute and tell me exactly what does it mean. Uh, uh, so let's
Sir, if we want to,
go ahead. Go ahead.
hello, sir, if we want to, sorry, I might. Hello.
So any of who's yeah, go ahead.
Sir, if we want to call two functions F1 and F2, so is it necessary to mention it like first F2, then F1, then main function, or any order of function is okay if we mention it above
Mohit,
main
would you like to
function?
answer, or any other shepherd would like to answer?
Sir, I think
Any order with work.
yes, I
Any
think
order
Sanskriti
would
is
work.
just trying to say that
Yeah, I can
before
answer.
a function. Yes, you can. There's too much echo. Sanskriti, please take over.
Hello. So, the echo is coming.
Go ahead.
Okay, so any order will be okay, but before the function you have to declare. So if you are calling F2 from F1, then before F1 you have to either declare and define F2, or either just declare F2.
So Sanskriti, the idea, if I just just summarize it, basically a function can only be called if its definition has already been made, or if the definition is later, then at least a declaration is seen by the compiler. Okay, so it's like this: whatever you do, the order between f1 and f2 do not matter if you are going to call them later, right? So later as in, so let us say the main is the third function in your file, then and you are only calling f1 and f2 from main, then it doesn't matter. You can define f2 first, then f1, or f1 first, then f2. It doesn't matter. The point is, when you reach that point where f1 and f2 are called, by that time there should have been at least a declaration, or as I said, better if we already have the definition already. So that is why my way of doing it, the way I write code, is that I define all my functions before the main, because usually the chain of the most of the functions that you will be calling, they'll probably be called from main. But yes, as Akshay said, if you are calling f1 from f2, okay, then you'll have to check all these things. The idea is the compiler should have seen everything. I think it should uh
I think it should still work actually,
it will still work,
because
because your
in
code will
today's
start from main.
compile, yeah.
Yeah, your code will start from main, so then it doesn't matter because
So also in modern compiler, even if you write any function anywhere, it will still work.
That I'm not sure, because of I don't know how the modern compilers work. In the older compilers, it wasn't the case. The compiler will simply like in Java, that is the case. It doesn't matter where you define it, the compiler will find it. But I'm not sure if it is the case with C. I'll have to check if I define a function later and I call it first. can the compiler figure it out? That I don't know. I'll have to check with GCC. What does the current GCC do with these cases? But anyhow, usually it is a nice thing to do to put a declaration on top. That will obviously work. There is no chance that that will not work. So if you are going to define the function later, then it is always good to just put a declaration on the top. And otherwise, if it is possible, just define it before you use. That is the only thing that is required. Define before use. The moment you are defining it before use, the order doesn't matter. That is the thing. Okay. Any more queries? So I think we have. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I think, sir, Vanshdeep asked a really good question that I think should be discussed. It was basically, I think Dhruv answered also that does the main function need a data type? Like, can't we declare it empty? Like, so I think we need any data type. Like, it can even be void, but at least one data type needs to be
Data type as in return type?
return type. Yes, sir.
The default return type is int. Okay, if you don't give any data return type, the default in C is int. Again, I don't know what is the default for the current compilers, but the actual C standard, if you don't define the return type for a function, it is assumed to be int. That is the default thing. Okay, so if you just write main, for example, it is equivalent to saying int main. Okay, is it clear? I mean, I don't know about the, again, I'll have to probably check. And with main, the thing is, even if you write void main, the return statement is anyhow added at the end by your compiler. So if we don't declare it before, it is giving error. Okay. I mean, that is what, right? I don't know what the current the compilers do. This was a part of the standards, that if you don't declare, if you don't give the return type for any function, it was assumed to be int. That was the default that the standard had. I'm not sure why they have removed it. Maybe some standards, C99 or C11, they may have removed that. Now you probably are required to give explicit return types. But if if some of you guys have Turbo C, right? Try it in Turbo C. If you don't give any return type for a function, it will be assumed as int. That is, again, it's more than 15 years since I used Turbo C, but I feel it would be the same in Turbo C because it's an old compiler. So Akshay is saying that it gives you an error. So sorry, so then you'll have to define it explicitly. It has to be either int or void. Yeah, void has to be void has to be there at least, right? But with main, anyhow, even if you put void main, it does actually put a return statement. There has, because your main function is invoked by your operating system, so that does expect a returned value, and that value is an integer. Okay, that is why it has to be 0, 1, something like that. So that statement is anyhow added to your your program by default, even if you are not returning anything. So these are certain things, because in Turbo C, I remember we used to write void main. We didn't write int main. Most of the time I used to write void main in Turbo C. That's what, 2003 or something, 2002, 2003. So yeah, so I'm not sure, but yeah, the standard will do it for you. It will actually, because it has to return a value back. So that value can actually be made a default thing in the in the code. So anyhow, yeah, Vanshdeep. So idea is that even main has a return type. It is supposed to be int. I suppose you can create a void main as well. But then in that case, the returned thing is kind of automatically added by your compiler. The good practice is to declare an int main and return appropriate values. Appropriate as in, you should return 0 if the program completes normally. Whatever was expected, your program did it. If some error occurred in between, okay, you should return something else. Usually this is the idea. 0 means the program terminated successfully, and anything other than 0 means that there was some problem. Okay. And I gave you an example also that many a times when you see certain applications getting crashed, you'll see an error code that is flashed, right, on in Windows or something like that. Error code 1234, something like that. And then some error will be there. So those error codes that you see, they are basically the returned value of your process. Okay, your process exited with a value that is not 0. Okay, so many operating systems will consider that as some kind of error condition, and they'll probably handle it in different ways. But there are no standard error codes, by the way. So it's not like 1 means this, 2 means this, 3 means this. No, that is not the case. It's up to you. So the only thing that the operating system sees is that whether the returned value is 0 or not. Okay, 0 means successful termination, and anything other than 0 is unsuccessful termination.
But sir, how can we know before that our program will compile successfully or not?
No, it's not about compiling. It's about running, right? So let's say you made a program to divide two numbers, okay, and the user gave 0 as the divisor. What will happen? Okay, it's an error condition, right? I mean, something happened. So you can put a check in your code saying if divisor is double equal to 0, print message, that divisor cannot be 0 and return 1, something like that, right? So basically, something that was not being expected, something that was deviating from the regular behavior of the program has happened. So you just return a different return status. That is the idea. So you use these return statuses for debugging purposes. Okay.
So sir, when we write return 1, then it will return 1 to the operating system, and then it
Yes.
will throw an error that the program is not running.
So that depends on how your operating system uses this, right? So basically, this is a convention that you have to understand, that the people who built these operating systems, it's a convention that every process that is created. By the way, you guys saw that digression lecture. I never asked you guys whether you see the digression lectures or not, but I did actually give a digression lecture on that, and I hope you understand now how process is related to your program. So basically, process is just runtime version of your program. Anyhow, so basically, the operating system expects that every process is going to give a returned value, right? And that returned value, there is a kind of convention that 0 means everything went well, 1 means, or any non-zero value means that some kind of exceptional condition happened. Yeah, so that is right.
But
So
sir, GCC does that automatically.
that is what. So Koteshwar has already written. So he has tried it with GDB. GDB says that return type defaults to int, but it compiles successfully. It compiled successfully, right? This is what I am trying to say, that return types default to int. This is what I knew. Okay, I'm not sure why they have removed it now, as Akshay is saying that now if you write a return, if you do not mention return type, it will give you an error. This is what happens today. But in the standard, it used to be like this, that if you do not provide the return type for a function, it is defaulted to int. And coming back to your question, so this return type of main, it is more of a nice to do thing than a binding. Okay, so you can always return just 0, or it is possible that you don't return anything at all, right? It simply defaults to 0. But it's more of a good programming practice to use these different return codes.
Okay.
Define and declare rule. Akshay, you can probably explain what you mean. I think it should work, Akshay, because that used to be a part of the standard. that if you don't give a return type, it should default to int. I'm just accepting you as I said, right? You guys are more recent on this as compared to me, so I sometimes simply accept whatever you are saying as true. So
No, sir. So actually, someone said that we can declare a function before calling also. So we can call and then
oh,
after that we can declare. So I checked that, so that was not working, sir. We have to
ah,
declare it before
ah,
calling.
right. So that is what I was saying, that in C, this is the idea. You have to give the declaration first. Um, so at least they have not changed that thing in the newer compilers. So yes, so declaration. So that Sanskriti, if you go back to your question, the compiler must have seen either a declaration or the definition itself of the function before it is called. That is the only thing you expect. The actual definition order is not really something that is to be seen. Okay. Sorry, we and see, this is what I also love, because when I talk with you guys, I also learn something. So maybe I'm biased towards discussions because I learn a lot from you guys as well. So that is why I am biased towards having discussion-based classes rather than a monotonous lecture where I speak and you guys simply listen. Anyhow, so we do have about 8 minutes. Mohit, we can and Mohit and other shepherds, we can probably discuss something more. I guess point two is clear now, is it? Oh no, this has not yet been talked about.
So I think basically, if you want to understand point one and point two are not very complicated. What that is basically, we indirectly discuss them. So what is the minimum number of functions that can be seen in a C program? That is basically one. We need at least one function for that our program to work smoothly. There can be other methods, but I don't know about those. So usually we declare at least one, that is main. Is it necessary to create user-defined functions? No, you can work without user-defined functions, but it is just if it is a complicated program or it is a big program or it is a repeated program, it is you can say recommended. It is recommended that you create your own functions and use those, but it is not at all necessary. You can work without those also. Yes, other than main. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. That main is needed. The third question, I think, Dhruv, do you want to take over? You can explain, I think, better.
Okay. How many values can a function return? A function can actually return only one value, because as soon as the function returns a value, the function just terminates. That is the whole purpose of the function, to return a value. So it just returns only one value.
And also, if we declared it of a void type, then we do not necessarily need to return any value. If our function is void, then we don't need to return any value. But if it is other than void, then we have to return a value in that case.
Can extract more than one value from a function. We will learn that in the way we call functions, call by value and call by reference.
Tejas, your mic is sorry, your mic is very I think very far from your mouth. It is like your voice is not audible to us.
Okay, let me see that. Sorry.
Any doubts on question number 3? How many values can a function return? Okay, I think Vanshdeep asked a question. Can a function return an array variable like return ARR5? If like I think it can, if it is an integer based value, if you have defined it, if it is an integer array and then you have defined the function as integer, I think it can. So the data type used for the function and for the return for the array should be same.
No, arrays are I think I probably should not have introduced because I plan to take another lecture on functions where I will talk about call by value, return by value, call by reference, return by reference, things kind of like these things. So this is the idea. Array is a special type of data type, right? It is not the same as our regular data types. We got to know about it when we studied pointers, right? So whenever I write ARR, right, it's not really the it doesn't mean that there are 10 different integers. ARR is basically an address, the starting address of 10 integers. It's like this, right? So whenever you pass it or you return it, what you essentially return or pass is an address, and then in the function, that same address is used to access the same memory locations. So if you want to return just one member of an array, then it's fine, right? You can basically make it, as Mohit said, int. And if, let us say, the array is of type integer, then return ARR5 is possible, right? But if by ARR5 you mean that you want to return a complete array back to the calling function, then you should take the you'll have to make the return type as int asterisk, int star, right? Because essentially you are going to return the starting address of that array back to the function, right? So I think maybe int and so I sometimes I confuse it with Java. In Java you can also do int and empty square brackets. I have to check whether and that is just equivalent as kind of int asterisk, because Java doesn't have pointers. But I don't know whether you can do int empty square brackets as a return type in C. I'll have to check. But one thing that will work for sure is that if you want to pass or return arrays, just make them pointers. Okay, int star, for example. If you want to return an array from a function, just return the data, just write the data type as int star, and then you can return the array, the complete array. Okay, I guess we are out of time. You guys would have another class, I guess, right, at 11. So and I also have another oh no, sorry, I don't have a class. If you guys want, I can continue for 5 minutes. So
we have a class at 11, but
so
it's
there's
your
like
choice.
so maybe 1 or 2 minutes or more. So I think we have discussed how many and this is a very simple one, right? Fourth one. So basically you can receive as many arguments as you want. I mean, there will be some practical limits.
125 to be max.
Pardon?
125 is the max limit of
Yeah,
arguments you
that
can
is what. So
pass.
there has to be some practical limit on it. 125, I think he would have read it somewhere, right, Dhruv? So he knows.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is in Java, actually, I think the limit is on the total size of the input in bytes, okay, and not in the number of variables. So that is why sometimes I just confuse. In Java, I think what you can pass to a function, the number of bytes, there is a maximum number of bytes that you can pass. So if you want, you can just create one array and pass it, or you can have like multiple variables which sum up to that many number of bytes. So that part, I know, even after writing this question, I also thought, okay, even I don't know the answer to this. So but thank you, Dhruv. So the answer is 125. And what is the last one? Yeah, we'll discuss actual and formal parameters tomorrow. It's an important concept. We'll start from here tomorrow, and then we'll discuss the global and static variables. Okay.
Sir,
Go ahead.
will classes be discussed before we discuss global and like inheritance and all that stuff?
What will we discuss?
Sir, concepts like inheritance and classes
No,
before
no,
we
no, no, no,
discuss
no.
global and all.
No. Global it doesn't require. So global variables is a general concept. It is not something that has come from the object-oriented world.
Okay, sir.
Right? Yeah. So
It's
global.
related
That
to
is not
functions
divergent.
only, na?
Thank you, sir.
Sorry, someone had a question.
So global is related to functions only, na, sir?
Yeah. So basically, something that is outside every function is a global thing. Okay. And this is a general concept. Okay, guys, don't. I know that you guys are also parallelly studying C++, so sometimes it might be confusing. But no, the concept of a global variable, the concept of a static variable, it is not something that has come from the object-oriented world. Okay, these concepts have existed prior to object-oriented world. Okay, and that is what if you go through that lecture, you'll realize that uh, you know the concept of a static variable or a global variable in let us say C++ or Java is different from the concept of global variable in C. And this is why one of the good reasons of uh, one it is a good thing to study C as your first language, because there are many programming concepts that I can tell you, okay, without uh, making you prejudiced about a particular language, because C is probably the 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 simplest, or I can say the crudest possible programming language that we guys use. If you leave out stuff like assembly language, okay, then C is probably the closest to the hardware. So you can learn many programming concepts using C. So we'll discuss the global and static things tomorrow. If any one of you would like to be a shepherd, um, you can simply drop me an email. I won't waste the time in selecting shepherds. You can send me an email and I'll make you the shepherds directly. So we'll meet tomorrow. There might be some uh, you know Indira ma'am wants to take her 2 lectures in continuation, and I feel that is a valid thing. So I don't know, we might have some shuffling from um, I mean, 2 lectures as in, so she wants to take like 1 lecture for CSAI and then 1 lecture for IT. It's not like 2 lectures for you guys. So it's like she wants both the sections to be placed side by side, which makes sense. It might probably be good for me as well, that right after I am done with you guys, I go to the next section. Currently I have a 1 hour break in between. So we'll discuss what, if there is some rescheduling that might be required, but we'll tell you by email. Okay. Your amount of time, the time that you have supposed to give, is exactly going to be the same. It's just that maybe it could be plus minus 1 hour here, and so you might be early for me or late for her or something like that. So yeah, we'll have lab this week. I have to I have to prepare your lab statement. To be honest, I completely forgot. I had a back paper this weekend, so I was busy preparing the back paper, conducting the back papers. So I forgot to prepare your. Arey, हाँ, yeah.
So which week will be considered for the lab?
Everything prior to the mid-sem.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah, and by the way, the labs are going to get progressively harder. It's not like the concept of only week 5 will be used. Okay, it is possible that you have to use concepts from week 3, week 4, as well as week 5. So labs are going to get progressively harder. I'll check, right, Akshay. The actual amount of time is dependent on the time I feel that this program will take. So that is more of a function of how many lines of code you are required to write, the time. But yeah, concept wise, it might require concepts from all the previous weeks as well. So labs are up to that week. Whenever I say week 5, it means from week 1 to week 5. That is the idea. So the lab this week will be, what did I teach before midsem? um, uh, yeah, whatever was there before midsem, that will be there. Loops and uh, yeah, arrays. I'll include arrays as well. You guys are now good enough in arrays, so there will be arrays as well as loops. Okay, you guys are not good enough. You are not well versed in array. Um, um, e- uh, okay, you guys want, I won't include a problem that is too difficult in array. There will be arrays, guys. Okay, it's just that maybe I won't. No, not week 6, not week 6. Only up to week 5. Um, so it won't be too advanced in array, but yeah, there will be arrays, okay, and there will be loops. So just think about loops. Mostly it should be on loops only. I have not yet tested you guys on loops, so maybe tomorrow's problem will be about loops, nested loops kind of stuff. So yeah, so there will be lab, and just go to the other lecture, or otherwise I'll get a I'll get remarks from the other faculty members that I'm stopping you guys from doing their lectures. So yeah, thank you guys. We'll meet tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.